How are you guys?
We're doing great, man. How are you guys doing?
Good. Hey, we want to welcome you guys wherever you're watching at. This is Derek and Giselle. And Derek and Giselle, years ago, 10 years ago, introduced me to Financial Peace University. And it's kind of changed the trajectory of kind of the way we do our finances. I'm super thankful for that. Derek owns a business. Giselle owns a business. And Derek is and Giselle are both active in Hope Church. We wanted to invite you guys to kind of talk through, man, we're in uncertain, I guess, is the phrase now unprecedented? Is that the phrase?
Yeah, I think that it's safe to say nobody has ever gone through this before who's living. So it's safe to say this is completely uncharted territories for everybody involved.
This is hopefully this is a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
We're hoping and believing and praying that, man. So it definitely changes the way that people are looking and viewing money. I mean, to go from right before this happened, our economy was the best it had been in 50 plus years.
Wow.
And to now have the worst economy we've had in, I mean, who knows how it's going to land. So, I mean, what a distinct difference to think of. Giselle posted a post the other day. What was life like before COVID-19? I mean, you weren't thinking about your bank accounts at the same level you're thinking about them now. So I think money and the church really trying to address where we're at on that. I'm really thankful you guys have asked us to be a part of it.
Yeah. And the reality is, just so you can speak to this probably, but this has affected everybody. There isn't a person out there who's not affected at some level.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even from business owners to stay-at-home moms. I mean, I'm not out in the workforce, but I'm thinking about what I'm spending at the grocery store, and you're just thinking of every little thing that you took for granted before all of this.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Dave talks about living and giving and saving, those financial kind of principles, and all these principles. I don't know if we won't get a lot into the biblical principles of all these things, but they all come from the Bible: living and giving and saving. So we kind of just want to talk about those with you guys for just a few moments. One of the things that we're going to walk through, or what I wanted to say early on, is that, man, this is not a time to live in fear. We don't have to live in fear. I think fear is really, it's crippling a lot of people right now. Wouldn't you guys say?
I mean, 100%, right? You're scared you're going to go somewhere, you're going to contract this, you're scared. Are you going to be the next part of the layoff? You're scared that you're just furloughed, or even going to get your job back. I would say fear is, if you allow it to, it can really control every aspect of your day. I mean, from the kid who is fearful they're not going to get to go back to school, to the mom who's fearful that her husband's going to come home today and say, I lost my job. I think 100%, Pastor, fear is, if we're not careful right now, it can really take a hold of our life.
Yeah. Like, fear just takes your mind and thoughts into places you probably wouldn't be before. And I think one of those things is avoidance too. So a lot of times when we're trying to avoid something or we're in denial, we will go to retail therapy or just spending money on whatever. So I think recognizing those thoughts of fear and panic, your body will let you know that's what you're feeling, whether it's deep breaths, palpitation, any of that. Just watch out for those signals and recenter your thoughts and focus. And the same goes financially. When you're like all over the place, you're just not thinking. You're like, a budget is pretty much you telling your money where to go. So you look at what's coming in and what's going out. And that's the most basic place to start. And long term, when you realize, okay, all this craziness is going to come back to normal. When it comes back to normal, where am I going to be? And the wise thing to do would not be to wait till you get to normal coming back, but to plan ahead so you're ready for life when it goes back to normal again.
Good. Hey, I want to talk about the four walls for just a moment. I want to toss it to you guys. And what are the things that we should, like, they're just must right now. They're just these, Dave calls them the four walls, and we're all faced with these four walls right now. Could you guys just address the four walls for just a moment?
So let me just start by saying we will get to the four walls, but really and truly, we have FPU and there's these 7 baby steps, and we'll get into them. But now the priority is not cranking through your baby steps, right? It defers back to what Pastor Wes is talking about, the four walls. So if you're writing this down, the four walls are food, making sure your family is fed, and you may change the habits of what you're buying. You might not buy the most expensive thing. This is the time where you have to get food. You got to take care of everybody, but you might change the way you do that. Utilities, are you keeping your water? Are you keeping your electricity on in your house? Your shelter. So if you're renting, if you have a mortgage, if you bought, and then transportation, and you may change the way you do that. I guess one of the benefits to transportation is gas is a lot cheaper. We're not driving as much, so we're saving money there. But those are the things that you throw everything else out the window. You throw your 401k out the window. You throw away your emergency fund savings. You throw all that out the window. First things first is you have to take care of the four walls. You have to take care of the four walls. And that's really what the priority is at this point.
And that's if you have your job, and even if you've been furloughed or lost your job too. That's what you want to focus on first.
Yeah, that's good. So if we have those four walls, are there some things that you think people should be thinking about cutting right now? Once they take care of the food, the utilities, the shelter, and the transportation that you mentioned, like, are there some things, should people be cutting the extra things in their life right now just in preparation for what may come? Because we obviously don't know the future. What should we look at on our budget maybe that we should maybe hold off on, or at least be thinking about it?
Yeah, so you can think of it in terms of need versus the things that you want. So for example, things like gym memberships, you're not going to that right now. You're technically not allowed to. So you can cancel that for now. You can find tons of free resources online on Pinterest, YouTube, to kind of make up for that. Looking at what you're spending on groceries, you'll probably trim back a little bit on the excess, whatever, cookies, all the things that you don't need. Things like subscriptions. I know it's hard to think, but your TV subscriptions, if you haven't cut cable yet, that might be a place you can start. Netflix, Hulu, all those things. In the bigger picture, if those extra dollars are taking away from you covering your four walls, then definitely they have to go. Things like Stitch Fix, any subscription boxes, all of the extra fun stuff. It doesn't mean you have to put it on hold forever, but right now, those are definitely things that should go.
I think things that you're paying other people to do that you can do yourself. So a lawn service, a pool service. You look at what I would do and what we'll do with our budget. We haven't done it yet, but I'll take that budget out, and we'll take a Sharpie marker, we'll take a marker, and we'll just cross through the things that, hey, we don't even need this. And right now, we definitely don't need this. And it's going to be difficult. This is a difficult time. So difficult time, you have to make difficult decisions that will make you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And so, if you don't already feel uncomfortable, I'd like to hang out with you. But you're going to get more uncomfortable. So just be prepared for that. So cutting out the things, go back, right, to the four walls. If it's not food, if it's not utilities, if it's not shelter, if it's not transportation, you probably don't even need that right now.
Oh, that's good.
Right? You're not buying people gifts right now. Put all that aside. All those different kind of budget line items, put them aside.
That's good.
I would say this too, just a small resource that I don't think a lot of people are using, but there's free lunches for your kids every day, no matter if you've got, it doesn't matter what school you go to, they're giving food, and they're even giving food now to take home on the weekend. So when you have those things for your kids, you're not scrambling and ordering out, which takes double the money. So yeah. You can go on the OCPS website and see what school near you is giving food, and use those resources. That's a lot of money off of your grocery bill.
Yeah. What I know this may be relative, but can you guys speak to deferring payments and what the long-term ramifications of that could be? Because I think some people are getting excited about that, but that could be good. It could be bad.
The biggest word, if you look up defer, it just means you're putting something off. So it's not like you're not going to have to make the payments. You're going to have to make the payment. So if they let you defer for 3 months, this is ever changing. So what we're going to talk about right now, by the time somebody may see this in 3 days, the deferment law may change.
Yeah. So
what we'll talk about today is you get a few months of deferment. If you need that as a family, if you're like, I need to defer, we have both lost our jobs. We can't afford it. It's not even in my four walls. I can't afford food, utility, shelter, and transportation. So if I can defer shelter, I'll defer it. I want to tell you though, it's meant to help people who need the help. If you don't need to defer a payment, my opinion is if you got it and you can take care of it, it's your responsibility to do it. At our company, we have not deferred, not missed one thing up to this point. And I hope by God's grace, it'll stay like that. But if you can do that, I even know in our church, we're not missing payments because we can afford to pay them. And remember this, as soon as you get to the back end of that, the payments are going to pick up again. So you got to be very careful. Just the takeaway is if you can pay it, pay it.
That's good.
I think it's important to remember too, within like the financial piece system, Dave Ramsey reminds us that you are the borrower is slave to the lender. So even if it's borrowed time, you're still a slave to that. So you might not feel the money tangibly, but it'll, like Derek just said, it'll come around again.
That's good. We talk about baby steps. Should we stop our baby, or which baby steps should we stop? Where are we at with the baby steps?
So remember an FPU, and Giselle's going to tell you, and Diane will probably put the link. They have free resources right now for you. They have a free every dollar budget, which, let's go back to the beginning. If you don't have a budget, right now you need to do a budget. I mean, I don't care where you're at. You're like, man, my financial world's falling apart. I didn't have one. Get one. Get one now. They have free resources for that.
So Financial Peace University is doing a 2-week or 14-day free trial of FPU. You get access to online lessons. It's as if you were enrolled in a class. You would just be like doing it on hyper speed, which you can now because you have the time.
Yeah.
So for 2 weeks, set a reminder to cancel it before the year payment comes through, and you get access to everything, the budgeting tool, all of their resources.
So that's where you'll learn about the baby steps. So here's what I'd say. If you can take care of the 4 walls and you can still get in your baby steps, it's not really cutting out a step. Like, you're at a process. If you're off of 1, you're on to 2. It really depends on, is your income stable? So there's some people, I mean, if you work at Publix, you're not losing your job. You know, there's a lot of industries that are getting bigger. There's people who are getting promotions and raises, and man, we're happy for them. You should be attacking that, and you should be giving more to the people who need help. So the answer to the question is, after the 4 walls, the leftover should go to your emergency fund. And once you fully fund that emergency fund, keep doing the things in the process that you can do. Those of you who are stable enough to be able to do that.
That's cool.
But let's keep going back. The 4 walls are primary, number 1 objective.
But I want to move into giving. We talk about living and giving. One of the questions that people have asked me is, should I stop giving? What do you think on this idea of giving? I know, again, people have lost their jobs. People have their normal has not changed whatsoever. Could you guys speak to giving? And then maybe even one step further on giving, could you even speak to maybe even generosity?
If you've lost your job, the thought of giving can bring a lot of panic. So maybe if we split it in that, if you've lost your job and you literally, like Derek mentioned earlier, you can't cover your 4 walls, then reframe your thought of what giving is. Maybe giving at this time right now is giving of time, in the sense of a Zoom call. You know, maybe before you would never have thought to check on somebody because you didn't have time, but now you can give in that way. Maybe it's calling your pastors or a community leader or something. Hey, I've got this extra time. What can I do? I'm a writer. I'm a whatever. Think of giving in that way. If your income is stable, your 4 walls are covered, you know, you're comfortable and good, I would say don't give up on your giving. Keep tithing, charitable contributions. Keep doing that, because in your giving, you're continuing to bless and move forward other causes and resources for people who might not be in the same place that you're at right now.
That's good.
I would say this, or when I think of people who give, or the biblical principle of giving and tithing, it's your tithing and you're giving off of your income. So if you have no income, then you almost have you don't have any monetary thing to give. But if you have income, then you should still be the biblical principle is tithing off of that. If maybe the generosity part, or going above and beyond at this time, isn't available or possible.
I think it's important not to get away from giving, and however you do that with your time, with your finances. And Diana nailed on the head. I mean, it's our biblical responsibility to tithe off of what God's given us in an income. And tithing and giving are 2 different things. So I think if you're able to do it. There's some people out there who, I mean, we as a company challenge people to give, you know, stick to the commitments that you had and give and help people. A lot of people need help right now. So let's help where we can. And if that means financially, fantastic.
And I think too, within the framework of financial peace, the last baby step is, part of it is to give. So I think the hope of that, even if you are in a place of crisis right now, to remember, like, get yourself on a plan, because the hope that you will have and the hope that you will continue to spread with giving and building wealth and generosity That's like the long-term goal.
Yeah, that's good. Derek, I've watched your company. I don't need a roof yet, but I'm gonna need a roof one day, and I will choose you. Your company is still being generous even in this season. Do you? If I was in your role, I could feel. Even with the church, I'm like, man, we give, like, it's a principle, so it's just what we do, and so we're trying to find different ways where we can give it and to serve. And so, how do you navigate generosity with your company, because you claim and you guys live on that with your company? So, if you're business owners that are watching, we have a lot of business owners in our church.
Mm-hmm.
How do you navigate generosity in this season as a business owner?
I mean, it's scary. Like we talked about fear earlier. It's like these moments where I'm like, well, when is this going to affect our company? When is the economy going to mess with us or hurt us? But we have always taken on this principle of, in tough times, we give through the tough times. And so we've made a big effort since March to do some significant things for local churches and nonprofits, and our partnership with Orlando City Foundation. I don't want to get too specific with that, but my challenge is, it's cliche, but you cannot outgive God in any capacity of your life.
Yeah.
I believe it. I know it. And we're a testimony of it in our personal life, in our business life. And I would just challenge you, just test it. Test God. I'm pretty sure I've never met anybody who came up on the other side of that thing.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. The word "if" is such a small little word, but like you said, if you have it, then you can give it. The Bible's pretty clear. God's given to us so that we can give to other people, so we can serve other people. And I just think, you can't go wrong with that if you have it to give. I see a lot of people right now, their hearts and their mind is on generosity, because there's so many people that are lacking without. And I know for us, we're giving extra now because we feel like the Lord's blessed us, and we want to continue to help people. And if we can help them more, we want to help them more. And we have missionaries and we have local partners where people are pulling out away from them and not helping them. But as a church and as individuals, we can help them now. So one of the principles that we all believe in is, living, giving, and saving. We've got the 4 walls. If we still have our job and contact, we're able to do that. And then we're giving still, like nothing's been affected. Or is it possible? What should we think about in terms of saving in this season?
Well, we sort of talked about it a little bit when we talked about the budget, right? That was a part of that, was cutting out the things that you don't need. And right now is the time to cut that stuff back and put that money aside, because we don't know what the next few months looks like. So the main thing we really want everybody to get from this talk, I think really the 4 walls is one of the main things. So when we go back to the 4 walls, food, utility, shelter, and transportation, anything else outside of that you can cut it today. And take that money, if you're having some sort of an income, and just put it aside. After you give, after you tithe, put it aside, save. So the answer is save everything you can save. Be as careful as you can be right now, because we do not know what the future looks like. Wouldn't you like to get on the other side of this and it's a lot better than we thought?
Yeah.
Right? But we have all this money saved up, and now we can go on that vacation we really want to go on. But what if you didn't save it and it's not good, and you're in a total mess, and you got a family relying on you? It's not a place you want to be in. Save, 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 save.
And I think it's important to note on that too, with you having that savings, sometimes I think it's easy to think, oh, I've got this big chunk, I'm just going to splurge on something. But you don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know what next week holds. So while you might be stable now, you just don't know in these times. So I would say keep that in mind too. Just don't dip. It's called an emergency fund for a reason. And then if an emergency does rise and you have to dip into that fund, that's what it's there for. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't defer on payments because you don't want to touch this emergency fund. That's what it's there for. So if you don't have it, now's the time to start building it. If you have one and it's small, cover the 4 walls and keep throwing in there, because you just don't know what tomorrow holds.
That's good. I know, because we're home, we're spending less now. Diana's cooking more. We're not eating out as much. Obviously, our gas prices are down. Tolls are really low right now. We don't have any tolls.
True.
You really can come to the other side of this and be like, wow, I saved. You realize now what you don't really need. You're like, man, I really didn't need that cable. I really didn't need.
And I think also taking time to look through your bank account, just saying tolls, I bet some people are thinking, oh, I didn't even think about that. But you could be saving at least $100 or more a month if you take toll roads every day, which that adds up over 3 months. You've almost got you know, we could have close to $500 to start a small emergency fund. So if we have extra, I just move it over to our savings so that that's an account that we don't have a card to, and I save it there, you know? So think of those little things too that you can take out from your account that's extra.
Yeah. I think that's good too. Now there's less people on the road. Don't take the tolls if you can help it. It's easy. I know for me, I can easily go a mile up the road and get on the interstate. But I could easily, now there's no one on the road, you can literally go maybe 5 or 6 more minutes longer and go a different route, because we need to save this money as much as possible. Hey, well, a lot of people by the time they watch this, they will have gotten their stimulus package, and they will have gotten either $1,200 in their account, or if they have kids, it could be $2,400 or $3,400, whatever the number is. What do you guys suggest that's extra money? I know in the context of living, giving, and saving, what should people do with the stimulus package? What are some of their options?
So within the financial peace framework right now, what Dave is advising, again, it goes to if your income is stable or not. If you have a stable income, that's awesome. If you've been working within the FPU system, then you should have your budget right now, and you should be working through your baby steps, which we can link what the baby steps are. But the number one thing would be to be starting that emergency fund. So if you've got a stable income, you have no clue what the baby steps are, start there. Dave Ramsey recommends $1,000 in your emergency fund. And if you've been working through the steps, what he's saying is put that stimulus package towards just keep crushing your goals. Pretend like it's money that came in, and just throw it at your baby steps. It doesn't need to go anywhere else. You're not going on a cruise. You're not going on a vacation, nothing anytime soon. So keep crushing those baby steps. If your income is unstable, if you've lost your job, been furloughed, whatever, cover the 4 walls, like he said, or like you guys have said, and Dave Ramsey then is advising, take that stimulus money and throw it into an emergency fund. And within the baby steps, he says $1,000 is the first baby step. But right now, emergency fund, get it as big as you can right now. Yeah. And then you would be putting on hold all the other baby steps.
So what you're saying is we shouldn't go buy a new car. We should pay our house payment.
Yes. Don't buy any new cars right now, man. Listen, use it to live first. If you can bless someone and do that, let's do it. Let's give extra. Let's give extra to the church. Let's give extra to a nonprofit that's helping people. Let's give extra to the healthcare workers. I went to Wawa to get coffee the other day, and Wawa gives free coffee to all healthcare workers. I love that, right? Yeah. Something I'm doing right now is when I go to a place to pick up food or something of that nature, and I can tell these are tipped workers. I'm over tipping to a level. The other day I was able to do that at Tijuana Flats, and the girl just started crying. Well, she's crying because she's making a fraction of what she used to make. So do that kind of stuff, and then save. I mean, save. I think it's very important. Everything G's talked about, all the principles that Dave Ramsey has, they're super important. You go on and make a budget if you haven't made a budget yet, and this is where you need to start. Hey, it's a tough time to get into FPU, but no time's a great time. It's always difficult. Yeah. This is a time to turn your finances around.
That's good.
I have a friend who the other day texted me and said, I know this might not be a big deal to a lot of other people, but I know you'll understand. And she was saying that she has saved her first $1,000, and she wrote, I feel like I can breathe a little bit better. Is that crazy to say? And I'm like, no, it's not. That's exactly what it's about, especially in times like this. So even just thinking in terms of that, like, you'll breathe differently when you have a plan and put that plan to work.
Yeah, and you guys are big on celebrating, so I think that's awesome. You ought to celebrate everything you can celebrate. Yeah. I'm in a season right now where I'm in all these Zoom calls, and usually we're muted. There's multiple people. I'm just like,
yeah.
You know, and I'm just cheering, and I would tell it for the person that's watching, man, celebrate any win you can celebrate. That's huge. Reach out to someone that you know and say, man, you won't believe I've saved up $100 or $500 or $1,000, or, you know, man, I paid, you know, maybe things are going good, and you're on a baby step where you're paying off a bill. If you paid off a bill, don't stop celebrating because because you feel bad for somebody else. Like, keep celebrating all the wins.
And I would say too, if you are alone in this season, or you're just navigating a budget, or Dave Ramsey, if you go to Hope Church, reach out to us, info@hopewintergarden.com. Or if you don't, and we have people who are certified teachers. Derek and Giselle have taken a few classes through the whole FPU thing, and we have people who can just help you get it going. Or you can say, hey, here's my sample budget. What do you think? But we have people who can help you to get started if you're kind of like, I don't know where to begin. So
yeah.
Just a reminder that Derek and y'all have continued to say, we, this isn't meant to be done. Life isn't meant to be done alone, but definitely crushing these goals. It's not. This quarantine is isolating. I have felt it. And when you have money struggles, that sometimes is embarrassing and it's suffocating. It can make your fear and anxiety just go to a whole nother level. So I think the beauty of being able to connect in different ways like this is that everybody's guard is a little bit down. So if you've struggled with that vulnerability or that transparency, like what better time than now to say, I need help and I know I'm not the only one. So reach out. Hope Church, I mean, there's all kinds of connection points to reach out to now. If the word church kind of scares you, then focus on the hope. There's hope beyond this time. It doesn't have to, if you don't know who God is, then now's the time to find out.
Maybe
or if you just need a friend,
maybe you should check it out.
If you just need a friend or a reason to smile, connect. I would say if you haven't found a way to beat the isolation by connecting virtually in a different way, then let this financial reason be a starting place for you, for sure. And I think another word to focus on too, if it's not hope, it's freedom. Within the church, we talk about freedom a lot, biblical freedom, free from sins and all that. But even beyond that, financial freedom is a big deal. It does help you breathe a little lighter. But just living that life where you don't owe anybody anything, and I'm not saying like a chip on your shoulder type, but just that freedom that opens you up to experiencing life more fully, giving in a way that you maybe have never given before, forming deeper connections and relationships. If you can focus on hope and freedom and kind of make that I can zero in on that. I was telling somebody the other day that some days it's like in my brain, I'm just kind of like, okay, one foot in front of the other. I can do this. And a lot of times it's me thinking, okay, what is bringing me joy in this moment? What is that hope for today, in this hour, in this minute? So just keep going. Don't stop. Just keep going. One foot in front of the other.
There is a lot of places that are still hiring. Pizza's being delivered at an all-time high, but pizza places are hiring. All these Grub Hubs, all these delivery services. There are jobs out there.
Yeah.
People are hiring. So I think if you're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I lost my job or I got my hours cut. Be aggressive. Hey, we still live in America. There's still opportunity. Go out there, get hungry, get creative, and do something to make a difference and make a difference for your family. I think this is time to step up, not just count on the government and everybody else to help us. You got to help yourself.
True.
And so I think it's really important to try your best to do that. And I think what our world needs right now is a little love and a little extra dose of generosity. And I think if we can do that, we'll get through this okay. We are a great country. We're a great world, and we will get through it. But it's going to take all of us collectively together helping each other get through it. So I'm happy we got to do this. And I'm so thankful for Hope Church and all it's doing in these Zoom calls and in the community and helping each other out. Love you guys. Thank you.